and continuing my stance on bettering education, I'm refuting the argument that the No Child Left Behind Act undermines education in the United States. My opponent's secondary claims are that the Act does not assess where the children started or how much they have progressed. The Act indiscriminately administers the test to students with cognitive disabilities, have English as a second language, or have their speech or language disabilities. And that also there was less time for creative subjects and problem solving replaced by teaching to the test. To start off with, I'd like to say that in a speech in 2002, President Bush stated that the purpose of No Child Left Behind was to ensure that every child in every school must be performing at grade level in the basic subjects that are the keys to all learning, which is reading and math. The whole purpose was to make sure that everyone could compete in a world where these are very basic skills. So my response to the first secondary claim that the Act does not assess where the child started or how far they have progressed. The evidence for this was effective but insufficient. It was used one teacher that had, which is good ethos for evidence, but it needs more evidence to back up that claim. My counterclaim is that in the third year of failing to meet the mandated level of progress, under the law, the school must provide the supplementary educational services, primarily some form of after-school tutoring, which meant that the law did have some kind of way of compensating for the kind of problem that where students were not up to scratch at the time that the law was instated, and also the 3-year waiting period meant that they were assessing from the first year where the children were and how much they had progressed in that time, and if they hadn't progressed, then they would be offered services. My response to the secondary claim was that that the Act indiscriminately administers the test to people regardless of disabilities. No evidence was provided for this. However, this is a valid point. Just as in real life, the students were not discriminated against because in real life, when you have to apply for a job or people have any kind of interaction with other people, people don't really care whether or not you have a disability. Employers want to hire a certain standard, which is what the test was kind of trying to accomplish with these children. And as I've stated before, they had tutoring services to help them get up to scratch. Also, later on, as an alternative to adequate yearly progress, they're starting to talk about a more flexible method of student progress known as the growth model, which is an approach that would cause schools to measure their improvement made by individual students each year. With such a system, success is defined by a certain amount of growth, even if the student isn't on the grade level. My response to the third secondary claim, that there was less time for creative subjects and problem solving replaced by teaching to the test, is that once again there was a reference to the teacher who was again a good source for this kind of problem, but more database evidence would have been better to strengthen the point. It was a major problem teaching to the test. There was less time devoted to things like music and art, but again, as I said, with the purpose of the law was to have the basic skills that were the key to success. The law left educators the responsibility of magically raising the test scores once the assessment was complete. Without any guidelines, the teacher's only alternative was to teach to the test instead of trying to make a creative way to integrate it into their prior methods of teaching. The law did highlight the fact that most states were not giving students a basic education in the areas they most needed. According to a report by the U.S. Education Department, by 2007, all 50 states and the District of Columbia had accountability plans in place. They assessed students in grades 3 through 8, and once in high school in reading, language, and arts and mathematics. The percentage of classes taught by highly qualified teachers rose to over 90%. And in conclusion, a 2012 article from Time magazine assessing the pros and cons of the laws overall made an excellent point about the overall effects, which was that the law required states to test students in these grades, which was something that fewer than 20 states were doing at the time. and to disaggregate the results by race, income, ethnicity, and other characteristics to see how all students were doing from every walk of life. The increased focus on accountability did produce some benefits. For starters, No Child Left Behind has changed educators from arguing about whether to hold schools accountable for performance to arguing about how to do it. It was a good law to start the drastic education changes that we desperately needed, but now that we're moving beyond it, we just need a different kind of legislation. So that's it. Thank you.